Hi, so welcome to the first supplemental video on Chapter 3. So the purpose of this video is to teach you what you need to know for the lab, but also so that you will watch these and instead of lecturing for the entire lecture period on Monday, I will quickly review this material and instead we'll use the time to work on maybe one additional problem or two plus the homework. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with understanding how to create methods that have parameters. So when we started the first chapter, we mentioned that basically we can write methods, right? Specifically, we've been dealing with these what we call void methods, which start with public static void. And we can just give them commands like, like print this, right? And this will say system.out.println, and it will execute, basically if we call this print this command, it will execute all the lines of code that are in here. So you'll never guess what I'm spelling. Right? And so now here in main, now just writing this doesn't do anything, right? Main is what our program is, and so we run this program, and because there's nothing in main, nothing gets printed out. So we can call this void method by just invoking it, which is to invoke something, you use its name, you give it a open parentheses and a close parentheses, because we're invoking a function, and then a semicolon. Okay, print. Oh, talking about invocation, I get the words wrong. So print this, right? So now we run this. It'll run all the code in here, and I can, print this a whole lot of times, right? So nothing too scary there. But if this is all that we can do with these methods, it would be a bit of a pain. They're really, because this doesn't really change at all. But let's go ahead and write another example of what we can do, right? We can say a lot of stuff. Public static void print twice, right? I can have methods that call other methods. So I can call print this twice in here. And I can call print twice. So print twice will call, so main calls print twice. Print twice will call print this once, which will print out THIS. And then print this will print out THIS again. So we'll print out this twice. Makes sense so far. Okay? So, what else can we do with this? Well, as you may have noticed that basically, since we have, main looks a bit different. It doesn't, it's a void function, but it has something in between its parentheses rather than just them being empty. So the significance of this is that you can pass in what's called an argument or a parameter to a function. You can write a function so that it will take in something and then it will print it out, or it will use it rather. So say this twice. So let's say print what I say twice. So here, I'm going to be passing this, I'm going to be putting a string message in here. Okay, this will look a little weird at first, but it's not too weird. Public static void So print what I say twice. If you can tell from the method, what I want to do is that I want to print out whatever this message is twice. And now if I call the method I just wrote, print what I say twice, and I give it a string, it'll print out that string twice. Hello, hello. So this is pretty cool because with a simple rewrite of my, rewriting of the code, I can completely change what's printed out twice. Don't have to really do too much to change what the output is. Right? So I'm printing out the same message twice. So what happens is that this world gets copied into message, and then gets printed out twice. That's a bit of a lie. There's some stuff that goes on with references, but we'll get into that later. Okay. And then I can modify the message, I can also, modify this a bit. Public static void print what I say lots. So now we can use a for loop maybe to print out this message a whole bunch of times. So rather than twice, maybe we'll print it out, let's say, for int I is equal to 0, and 1. I is less than or equal to 1,000. I plus plus. And we'll just spam this message a whole lot. System.out.println message. Okay. Print what I say lots. Message. Well, have to give it a message, right? There's no message variable declared, so let's say hello again. Now I run this, and it prints out 1,000 times. Okay. Now, of course, you might be. So, what is the power of these arguments besides just being able to pass something in like this? Well, you can pass actually quite a number of things in. Now, first off, you may have noticed a couple. There might be, if you're experimenting, if you pause the video and start experimenting, you may notice something. I said string message, right? And that's important because I can't throw an integer in here, right? It gives me an error. It says that print what I say lots takes in a string. And if I give it an integer, it's not going to like that. So if I say a string here, it needs to take in a string, right? Can't pass it in a integer, can't pass in a double. So long as it's a string, it's happy to print it out for me. Any string, it will just be happy to print it out for me 1,000 times. Okay. Another cool thing is that you can take in as many parameters as you want, right? Or you can take in you can write your method so that it can take in as many parameters as you want, right? So I can't just do this. Hi, and then there. Print what I say lots says the method print what I say lots takes in a string. It's not you can't use it on a string and a string. Hopefully that makes sense, right? We have two strings being put in here, and it says you're trying to put two strings in a one-string method. I only take in one string, and then I'm going to print it out lots of times. All right. So how else can we change this? Can we add in another parameter? Yes, we can. And we can add in different types. So let's say string message and int times. And what we're going to do here is that we're going to use times to tell us how many times we want to print out this message. Right now it's printing out 1,000 of these. But if I switch it to times, then suddenly this message becomes this print what I say lots becomes a heck of a lot more powerful. I can use this method to print out a message 10 times, or 100 times, or 500 times, or 1,000 times. As many times as I want, so long as what I provide is an integer. So now I have to provide, now as you can see, it gave me an error now because it says print what I say lots. It needs a string and an integer. And all I've done is provided a string. So you have to provide the exact number of arguments, and they have to be in the correct type and in the correct order. So I can't provide it a integer and then a string. I have to provide it a string and then an integer. So now it prints out 5 times. Now it prints out hill 5 times. And now it prints out hill 50 times. So that's pretty nice. And how do we know that this will run 50 times? We pass it in here. Int I is equal to 1 all the way through times. So i's values will be 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up and including times, which in this case was 50. Right? So this over here gets copied into here. This over here gets copied into here. And these variables are, again, local variables, which we'll go into more detail, which means that this message only exists for this method, and this copy of times only exists for this method. So that enables us that if we want to use times as a variable somewhere else in some other method, we totally can. All right, so that's the first video on this, and hopefully this should be enough to get the first problem of your homework done, the 99 bottles of beer on the wall. Okay? And so next we're going to work on some more numerical stuff in the next video, and then in the third video I'll post, we'll work on some graphical stuff.